So we're going to be talking about strategies that you can do at home to foster more independence and to begin to let go. Of course, we don't want to let go completely, right? Because we are here to support your children. You want to support them. And you also want to foster the skills that they need to develop their problem solving, resiliency, and to know what works for them, what doesn't work for them. So many parents, we're addressing this because many parents feel like there's a need to micromanage their children. Of course, we don't need to, but we feel as if we do, because if we don't, we're really worried that things are going to fall through the crack. We want to define micromanaging as controlling every part of their lives, however small, or controlling most of the parts of their lives. Micromanaging actually alleviates our anxiety. We are anxious that if we don't step in, things are going to fall through. We're filling up our cup by making sure that things get done at the expense of our children developing the skills that they need to be successful and to foster these skills, these essential life skills. So we are stepping in and setting the reminders, giving them the solutions, making sure they're doing their homework, emailing their teachers, etc., because it alleviates our anxiety knowing that, hey, it's been done. However, what we're doing is stripping them of the opportunity to develop the skills that they need to do this on their own or to collaborate with us to do it with them. So it's a quick, easy fix, and we get it. We know why we do it. And we know that it's not ultimately supporting their longevity, right? Their growth. So we really want to be much more reflective of what we're doing so that we are taking the steps to help them develop the skills that they need. So after our chat today, I really hope that you walk away with at least one idea that you can do at home, one takeaway that you can begin to implement so that you begin to foster some of this at home. So what does micromanaging do to your children? Again, we've alluded to this, but it really limits their opportunity to develop their autonomy and their self-regulation. So if children are being, and when I say children, I really want to define that as anyone from like at all ages up until young adult, right? And it's even like our spouse. I see this all the time with partners and stuff. If we are, taking the trash out, doing everything for them, they're not going to learn how to help us around the house, right? And so we take on most of the household work. Most of the time it's women, unfortunately. And that's, we want to make sure that our partners are collaborating with us and contributing to the household. This is the same goes with children, though. So it limits their opportunity. If they're being consistently told what to do, and they miss out on learning how to make decisions for themselves, right? Why make it what they don't get the opportunity to make this? The decisions are being done for them. So they don't know how to solve their own problems. So for example, they don't know the questions that they need to ask themselves to begin to problem solve because they're not exercising that part of the brain. And if they don't exercise that part of the brain, those neuron connections do not develop, which will not, the brain develops what it uses. And if they're not using those connections, they are not going to develop their problem solving skills. But we are, because we're using it to support them, right? So we want to be mindful of that. So it stifles the opportunity for them to develop their executive function skills, which is a big topic that we get lots of calls about. So executive function skills, which is all about planning, organization, task initiation, time management, etc. They're not getting the opportunity to develop the skills, but we are. Our executive function skills are getting stronger because we're managing everything that they're doing. So again, the research shows that children who are given the opportunity to make decisions and those who experience natural consequences actually develop stronger self-management skills and decision-making abilities. And what I mean by natural consequences is something that it's a consequence that isn't being imposed on them, right? It's not coming from a third party. So for example, if a child forgets to take their test assigned to school, they might get dinged a point or two or have to, bring it back the next day, right? So that's a natural consequence. The teacher has a conversation with them. We are not imposing that consequence on them. It is just something that's done. Another one could be a child who, a teenager who doesn't take a sweater to school. Then they're cold at school, or a teenager who forgets their sweater at school. Well, then they forget their sweater. Now they don't have their sweater anymore. They lost their sweater, right? Or they have to go find it next day. These are natural consequences. So when children are are given the opportunity to make decisions or experience natural consequences, they learn how to trust themselves, they learn how to problem solve, and they know what strategies work for them and what strategies don't. So they begin to play with themselves and develop these essential life skills. Micromanaging diminishes their motivation and engagement. So, the self determination theory says that in order for children to be self determined, right, and that's what we're all looking for in our children, we want them to be self driven, motivated. In order for them to be that, they need to feel competent in what they're doing. They need to have relatedness, so relate to the person or the thing that they're doing, and they need to have some sense of autonomy, right? So when children are feeling overly controlled, it diminishes their self-motivation. So it undermines their self-motivation because they're not the ones taking ownership of anything. They're being told what to do. So not only does it diminish their motivation, but it also diminishes their self-confidence and their self-esteem. And it puts them in a position with no control. So imagine you being in a position where you have no control of anything that you do. Your boss telling you everything that you need to do and is micromanaging you. It's not motivating. It's in fact anxiety provoking for you, right? We no one likes that. Not your children. Yes, they're part of you. They might be younger than you, but they're still human beings, and as so, experience the same feelings we do. So just because we're not, they're not, we're not there. They're not in the workforce doesn't mean that they don't experience what we do when our boss micromanages us. So they lose the desire to initiate, oops, my dog, sorry, to initiate or persevere through challenging tasks. Because again, they're stripped of internal motivation, and so this is very crucial for their long-term success because they're not intrinsically motivated to do anything, right? They don't really understand themselves, don't know themselves, don't know if they're passionate, and don't develop curiosity because they don't feel competent in pursuing much more challenging tasks. So parents, we care about them, right? But part of what we need to start thinking about is how can we let go so that they develop some sense of ownership and develop some responsibility. We want to begin to let go because that's going to tell them, hey, we trust you, right? That you're going to problem solve. And also, this isn't my responsibility. This is your responsibility. So they need to start feeling like this is theirs, right? It's theirs to own. If we're owning it for them, it's not giving them the opportunity to own it for themselves because we're there. So as an example, yesterday we had a call with a parent and she said, she spends 2 hours cajoling her son to get started on homework. Well, of course, the child isn't going to get started on homework independently because he knows, hey, mom's got it. She's going to keep reminding me until I get this started. So I'm just going to take my time here, right? And again, it's causing stress for you and causing stress for them, and it's coming in the way of your relationship with your child. This is just an example. That is one way of how we are kind of in our efforts to like do a quick fix to things, right? Get the process going. We're actually creating a longer term consequence. They also learn helplessness because they feel incapable of doing things or of solving their own problems. They feel like people aren't trusting of them. My parents don't think or trust that I can manage this on my own because they keep on checking in on me, right? So it diminishes their self-confidence in themselves and their self-esteem. Again, we're putting them in a position with no control, so they are subjected to stop trying. Let me let my dog out. Sorry, my dog just needed to go out. So they stop trying. Like they don't even want to try anymore because they have no intrinsic motivation to pursue anything independently, or to make decisions on their own. And it causes a lot of emotional distress. So our micromanaging decreases our anxiety because we've found a solution. We know that things are getting done, things are progressing. However, it increases their anxiety levels because they don't know how to problem solve. They know that we're micromanaging and hovering over them. So it's decreasing ours while increasing theirs. So if they're being repeatedly corrected or closely monitored, they also become really overly focused on avoiding mistakes, right? They want to put up an image of being perfect, right? They don't want to have mistakes because they know that you're there, someone's there, and someone's going to be correcting them. So rather than exploring, learning, building curiosity, and growing, we're actually stifling their creative thinking, their problem solving skills, and encouraging them to take less challenging tasks and risks. And we know that with tasks and risks comes a lot of growth and learning opportunities. It also increases their heart rate. Again, like the physiological effects that anxiety has on them, right? Increasing the heart rates, sweaty palms, just low self-esteem, etc. So that's just a couple things. So we also, right? We don't just want to share how it hurts them, but we want to share how it helps them as well.